Hello, all, and time for another coffee with Kilroy. As I read from Tales of War, great stories from military history for every day of the year. And today is December 3rd, and you might have figured out from the game that's underneath here, Strategy and Tactics, number 174, the Indo-Pakistani Wars, 1965 to 1990, that it might have something to do with that. So let me get a cup of, or a drink of coffee here. I got my cup. I have my mug. Let's now see what we have inside Tales of War from from December 3rd. Let's see what we have in here. So 3 December, Operation Genghis Khan, or Genghis Khan, 1971. Today, Pakistani jets launched Operation Genghis Khan, a surprise attack on 10 Indian military airfields, to start a war that led to the birth of a new nation. When Pakistan had first gained independence in 1947, it was formed from two geographically separated areas, West Pakistan and East Pakistan, formerly East Bengal, with India in the middle. Since then, the western half had ruled the country, but in 1970, in the nation's first ever general election, East Pakistan's Awami League won a majority in the Pakistani National Assembly. Finding the results unacceptable, Pakistani President General Yahya Khan arrested the Awami League's candidate, causing its leaders to flee to Calcutta. Let's see if I can go a little bit closer so you can see, follow along if you so choose. And set up government exile and declare East Pakistan's independence on 21st March the following year. 4 days later, Yahya Khan launched Operation Searchlight, a military assault on East Pakistan. In just 2 months, West Pakistani troops wiped out all Bengali military resistance while massacring huge numbers of civilians, especially civilian leaders who were specially targeted. Somewhere between 200,000 and 3 million were killed, and 8 million people fled over the border into India. In the meantime, East Bengali military units had combined with police and armed civilians to form the Mukti Bahani, a guerrilla force that launched bloody attacks from India against West Pakistani army, causing heavy casualties. Indian Prime Minister Indira Gandhi publicly expressed support for the East Bengali revolt, set up training facilities for the Mukti Bahani, and provided active aid with Indian Army troops. Open war with India was now inevitable, and the Pakistani government determined to launch a preemptive strike. They knew they could not defend East Pakistani, but believed that international pressures would prevent a long war. So they planned a surprise attack against India that would give them tracts of Indian territory that could be used as bargaining chips in eventual negotiations. The first step in what would later be called the Indo-Pakistani War of 1971, was Operation Genghis Khan, the Pakistani airstrike against air bases in northwest India. Starting at 5:40 this Sunday evening, 2 waves of planes rose into the sky, and an international array comprised of 24 F-86F Canadian-built Sabre jets, 4 American-built Lockheed 4-104 Starfighters, and 8 French-built Mirages. Caught by surprise, the Indian bases failed to scramble any aircraft, and despite light anti-aircraft fire, the Pakistani planes damaged several runways and radar installations. Although failing to put them out of action for more than a few hours, almost simultaneously, Pakistani artillery began shelling India's western frontier, and infantry made a minor border incursion in the state of Jammu. Later, Pakistani planes launched another strike that included 3 B-57 bombers, one of which was shot down by Indian ground fire. Just after midnight, Prime Minister Gandhi announced the attacks on the radio to our nation, began a full-scale invasion of East Pakistan. At 9 a.m. Monday evening, 4 squadrons of Indian Canberra light bombers hit 8 Pakistani airfields, heavily damaging 2 of them at a loss of only 1 aircraft. Within 2 days, the Indian Air Force gained total air supremacy. Then 3 Indian corps advanced into East Pakistan, supported by 3 brigades of Mukti Bahani, brushing aside the Pakistani forces of only 3 divisions and capturing over 5,000 square miles of territory. Meanwhile, the Indian Navy attacked Karachi, wrecking 2 destroyers. Keep some coffee. That is better. Now Indian planes continued to hammer Pakistani positions, flying some 4,000 sorties, while the Pakistani offered little in retaliation. Their F-86s and F-6s were a generation older than the Indians' MiG-21s, and the Pakistani High Command decided to cut its losses. In the land war, the Pakistanis launched a number of armored thrusts against the Indian onslaught, even sending commandos on sabotage missions, but nothing could halt the Indian advance as troops bypassed a few powerful Pakistani strongholds, and they were soon marching on East Pakistan capital at Dhaka. Overwhelmed by the assault on 16th December, give me some more coffee. Less than 2 weeks after India had crossed the border, the Pakistani troops in East Pakistan surrendered. They had suffered 8,000 to 10,000 killed and wounded and lost 91,000 captured. East Pakistan had become independent. The new nation called itself Bangladesh, which the Bengali language means land of the Bengalis. There you have that. That is the entry for 3 December Tales of War. Now let's go into why I decided to pull out this game to talk about it. Indo-Pakistani Wars 1965 to 1990s was contained in or is part of Strategy and Tactics number 174. That was the May to June 1995 issue. Like with all Strategy and Tactics magazines, or at least the ones that I have, it contains a full magazine, has an article about the conflict itself, and then has the game rules that are inside here. So why did I pick this one? Well, this game covers 3 different time periods. It covers 65 conflict, 71 conflict, and the 1990 conflict. And there are different scenarios in here as well that cover it. So turning to the, time for more coffee. Turning to the 71 scenario, that's the one that I really wanted to focus on here. Now, the entry from Tales of War really talks, kind of has the setup with Operation Genghis Khan, which was really more of an air attack. And there is air that is covered, or air combat covered in this game. But this game is a little bit more of a operational, strategic level type game, in covering each of those 3 conflicts. And as that entry went on, the Tales of War entry, it covered the whole land war as well. And really wasn't that long of a conflict. But you have the 1971 scenario with the Pakistan, the Azad Pakistan, India, and the Mukti Bahani in here as well. all your different setup, all your different special rules in here. So this is basically the scenario. You had the 65 scenario, 71 scenario, and the 90s scenario. I guess there's again more than one for that. So this would be the one that you'd want to focus on to correlate with the reading today. As I said, this is typical strategy and tactics format, at least in the 90s. You have triple column. It's all black and white. There's quite a bit of rules on air logistics in here and air warfare, bombing, interception, air superiority, air bases. So, a good portion of the rules is the air game. And so that's one reason why I thought this game would correlate well to the entry today. But it has everything. It has, a naval, or at least amphibious units, your other types of special units, airborne, helicopter, there was mention of commandos. That's covered in here as well. As I said, since this is more operational and up, you've got logistics that are covered in this game. The ground combat is relatively, small compared to the air combat. It's not an overly complicated game. It's kind of, you're covering a pretty long period of time, from 65 into the 90s. So, units and combat and strategy and tactics, change over that time. Your counters are your typical strategy and tactics type counter, relatively thin. Has nibs on them. When I bought this, I was not a clipper. Still really wouldn't call myself a clipper. But, the nibs aren't horrible. Well, I say that, but some of you people out there that are lifelong clippers probably find them unacceptable, I would say. But you have several counters, and you have some markers as well that go into it. The map itself is kind of divided into two halves. You've got east and west. Most of your charts are on here, which I like, so that you don't, otherwise the charts would have to find their way into the game. So they put most of your tracks and key chart sequence of play, terrain effects, reaction land unit, survival checks, victory point chart here, ground combat results here. Flip this over. And then you have your two sides of the map. The east map is taking up, one whole length of the board, where the west map is taking up just a corner of the board, as you can see here. So you've got the west map here, which is East Pakistan, Bangladesh. So this becomes the new country. Again, this Bangladesh in the 90s, but as a 71, it was East Pakistan. And then you have the west portion here with Pakistan and India. And there's also a little inset right here that shows you how these two maps, how they're oriented on the world stage, with the east map here and the little west map right here. So there you have it. That is Strategy and Tactics number 174, Indo-Pakistani Wars. I thought you might find that interesting today on 3rd of December with my Tales of War reading. Anyway, thanks all. Let me know your thoughts on this game or on this conflict. Not taking any sides, just thought I would do the readings for the day and see what you all think about it. Take care. Thanks for watching.